So amazing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, consciousness.
Yeah.
So amazing. Just joyful.
Yeah.
In a state of allowing. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do have stuff to say. Questions?
We know you don't mean unbelievable. We know you mean.
No, it's very believable.
Yeah, because if it was unbelievable.
I couldn't even imagine it. So, let's begin.
Yeah.
It might be like a Wayne Dyer conversation here that you had, very similar. Where I'm at right now is an unconditional state. And I've truly understood that the journey is the destination. And I'm always happy. Always happy.
Well, the purpose for the destination is certainly the journey. You keep finding something you want, which let's call it a destination, and then the path to it is the opportunity for the fun.
Yes.
And then something else hatches, another
else.
destination, and then the journey to it is the path of fun. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I want to ask consciousness, Abraham, my parents are both from India. I have a very, very, very deep connection with my mom, and I know she's one of you. I feel it. I know it. She wants to be here today, but she had an arrangement which she wanted to give her blessings to you, to everybody. When she was pregnant with me, this is her question, she had this sort of energy that she felt that she could put fire out of her hands. And it was some sort of, she doesn't know what it was. I'm the third kid of hers. And she knew that something, either he's going to be some sort of special energy is coming, or he might be retarded, or whatever the case may be. Like something's going to happen. Either there's just a lot
unusual.
of power. Unusual. I'm not saying it in a negative sense at all. Then I remember in first grade, I had an experience where I never liked to conform to stuff. I've always, in first grade, I slapped my principal. And she loved me to death, guys.
She had it coming.
And she loved me. So what happened was, to give you guys a little brief overview of what happened, I like kindergarten because you get to play. You get to have fun. My mom's always been a babysitter, so I've always been around kids. I love that type of energy. First grade comes, you got math, science, and all this stuff, and I didn't like it. So I ran out of class. My mom would give me beatings in the morning. The whole neighborhood would line up and see me trying to get on school, and then she would give me beatings. I deserved it. I knew I deserved it. But first grade, I ran out of school. The janitors brought me in, and the principal came, and I just gave her one. And then she was like, okay, that was kind of weird. Maybe he has some mental problems or something. So psychologists came in. They're like, oh, no, he has no problems. He just hates school. He doesn't like school at all. So next thing, she was like, how can we make you feel more comfortable? So I said, oh, wow. I can kind of dictate how I want this to go. So I said, you know what? I got my cousins, and I got my sister goes to this school. How about I come into your office, and I can have lunch, and on the intercom, you call them, and I can have lunch anytime I want to. She said, that's fine. So every day, there would be like, Aman Sharma, Aditi Sharma, come down to the principal's office and have lunch with your cousin or your brother. So at a young age, I said, okay, wow. But I never took it to a negative approach. I always had the intent of doing good stuff. Now,
after the first principal beating.
First principal beating, which she loved me to death, and I still love her, Miss Barbara Smith. So now, as time goes on in my life, I'm 19 years old. I wake up one day. I played college football at William & Mary. And I woke up one day. Before that point, I was always questioning life. What's the purpose of stuff? Why am I here? Why am I doing stuff that I don't like? Why do I have to do that type of stuff to contrast? So when I was 19, I woke up one day, and my whole life flipped. Everything started spinning. Literally spinning. My eyes, the whole room was spinning. And I woke up my roommate. He would play wide receiver. I woke him up. I said, can you wake me up in 10 minutes? Something's not right. I went back to sleep. When I woke up, it got worse. Now the spinning, literally the room is spinning, my entire environment. So I've been a vegetarian all my life. I went downstairs and I made a PB&J, took a bite and I threw it up. And I said, wow, this is very different. So for 2.5 weeks, the spinning never stopped, never ceased. I went to Johns Hopkins and doctors thought I might have a heart problem, a brain tumor, whatever the case may be. I was healthy. They said, we've never seen nothing like this. We don't know what this is. Now when I look back at it, from this state, my perspective, I know it was you guys, or consciousness per se. And I've always been open to the idea of channeling ever since I was little. My mom would take me to a small village in India, and there was a lady that channeled a Devi. And I was always open to that, not knowing what was happening. So fast forward to when I was 19, when that entire stuff happened, it changed my perspective on life. It made me look at life when I was looking like just football in school. It opened me up to a whole new world. Now I want to know from you, what exactly was that occurred within me at that time frame? But right now, I look at it in a very beautiful way because it really blossomed into something so beautiful in the unfolding where we are now.
Well, there's so much that we want to say to you, and we were happy to allow you a presentation of your perception of your experience so that everyone else could sort of get up to speed with who you are, what's going on, and it will make them understand more clearly what we say to you next. The most significant thing that we want to say to you is that you are an example of someone with strong desire. Now, let's be clear. Everyone who comes from non-physical into physical comes with powerful intention. There is no exception to that. Sometimes your intent for something specific, like teaching or so many things, is more focused. And that's what your mother could feel when you were in her womb. She could feel the point of focus that you are, the intensity of it. So important for you to let her know that she was sensing, and let's call it consciousness, but even more than that, let's call it strong decision or intentionality, purpose. So here you are, you're born into an environment, and everyone is born, no matter what environment they're born into. In other words, it doesn't matter what religion or what race or what country or what culture they are born into. Everyone who comes from non-physical into this physical environment is born into an environment of enormous restriction, because the inhabitants of that environment have not understood energy for a long while. They've been resistant. They've been blocking their own flow. And so whenever someone new gets here, they come with stronger energy flowing, which always sort of upsets the apple cart just a little bit. That's why society is so quick to slow you down, to shut you down, to slow you down. You sort of jeopardize their unnatural stability. And we put those words together so carefully. Unnatural stability. This stability, not wanting anybody to rock the boat. In other words, don't want more than we can easily provide for you, and don't want more than you're ready to understand. And so most don't understand all of the newcomers that come with such passionate desire. But you were extreme in your desire. You were born into an environment with a mother who was very intuitive and who was very wise. So she, unlike most, gave you more leeway than most were given, which was a wonderful thing for you because it allowed you to feel your power at an earlier age. Not just feel it, but come to know it. Not just come to know it, but to come to want it and expect it. Not just to want and expect it, but to demand it, to be willing to accept nothing less. And then she introduced you into your first bondage, school. So you enter into that environment where now you are really a boat rocker because you're used to doing what you want. You're used to the free flowing of ideas. You were way ahead of anything else that was going on there. In other words, your decisions about who you were already clear. You had already found yourself. In other words, and most who look at someone, that little person, could not believe that you have found yourself. We're telling you, when they're born, they have found themselves. If you stop talking them out of having found themselves, things will go a lot better for your children as you allow them to feel their own inspiration. And we know there's balking even in an audience like this, because you think, oh, but we need to teach them about the traffic, and we need to teach them about the things that are dangerous. We need to teach them about the things that they need to watch out for. But you go so overboard in your process of conformity. And you were someone determined not to conform. That was the strongest intention that you had. Now, the reason that you said, and wisely so, I thought maybe I might have been born different. You said retarded, some would say with some sort of dysfunction. The reason that that occurred to you is because that is very often the reason that someone comes forth unconforming. They come with a condition that prevents the society around them from demanding conformity. Such a good thing to acknowledge. So you came with that same powerful intention, only you looked so normal, most were determined to make you conform. But you stood up to that principle at a very early age and got her attention, and we're not really in harmony with the violence of slapping your teacher.
Me neither.
But we get why you felt that way. In other words, what you were saying to everyone who was in the vicinity who could listen, I want to be the boss of me. And that's a hard thing for adults to hear children say. They don't want to hear it from you, even though ultimately it's what they want from you. You are really interesting to watch, because you want to make all of the decisions for your children, even about what socks they wear, and then suddenly they're at age and you say, now what do you want to be for the rest of your life? And they say, I'm a little unprepared for that. You have been choosing my socks and my meals for so long, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to decide what I want to be forevermore. And so here you are, moving through, making your own way, figuring out how to get along. We are certain that there are many more stories that you could tell as you were holding your own and allowing the world around you to acquiesce to you. That's really what deliberate creating is. It's like you had found your point of attraction at an early age, and you knew how to maintain your point of attraction. And oddly, even there were jaws dropping in this room. How can you be given the microphone in a school and your classmates be allowed to come and have meals with you? What kind of madness is that? It's what deliberateness is. It's what not split energy is. It's what power is. It's what enlightenment is. It's what using the energy that creates worlds brings you. It's how things are conforming to that which you are when there's no resistance within you, you see. So then, you got older, you got more integrated into more environment, you became more a part of the ways. You began playing football. Football has rules that you had no choice but to conform to. You began playing in a game where you had to conform, which meant you had to give up some of your license of freedom in order to play in those, and in the process introduced more resistance into your equation. As you introduced more resistance into your equation, you also began launching more rockets of desire. So you were summoning more strongly. Now, as we said earlier, you became more specific about what you were asking for. And when you become more specific about what you're asking for, the momentum of that energy begins to move more quickly. Esther discovered in the very early days, especially when she was preparing for Abraham to begin to speak, she was always sitting, because it was really an experience of instability for her. You've maybe have heard the expression swooning. It's almost like a disorientation. And what it is, it's a willingness to move into higher consciousness, but a vibrational unreadiness. That's really what it is about. So your willingness was there, you were born with it, but because of what was going on in your experience, you were vibrationally not up to speed with it. The power of your desire was strong enough that it couldn't hold back your unreadiness, but that's what caused that swooning. That's what caused that disorientation. That's what caused that confusion. Even today, Esther always goes to a podium. She likes it when they're really stable podiums, because she knows that there is the potential, as she moves from the consciousness of Esther to the consciousness of Abraham, that there's going to be an energy adjustment, and that's what you were experiencing then. So now what?